my friends. Jerry Rosa here, the Rosa String Works Man Cave. Getting sick. Darn allergies have jumped up on me. I think that's why I haven't slept the last 2 nights. I could tell that something was happening, and it's caught up on me pretty good today. And, of course, we're playing at Dickey's this evening, wouldn't you know. It just never fails. So I'm really not doing real good today. But I do have a couple of things to share with you, show you and everything. As I've said before, around here, there's pretty much a catastrophe every single day. There's some kind of problem. And let's see, last night, JR called me and asked me to help Isaac with his lawn tractor on the carburetor and stuff. And I went over there and figured out what the problem was. And while I was over there, JR was borrowing our tractor, brush hog, got his foot caught in a brake or something and backed into our fence on our bridge, you know, that cuts across the driveway there, knocked the fence down. So there's that one. Just moments ago, for the last 30 minutes, I was trying to take a nap, and the moment I doze off, Sue knocks on the door, says, "My TV's broken. I think it's not working anymore. Can you take a look at it?" And it's like, there's something every 5 minutes. I still don't have her lawn tractor up to par yet. Yeah, I don't know why. I typically feel like I can take a look at almost any engine and fix it almost instantly, but this one's just not cooperating, and I don't know what the problem is. Anyway, moving on down, let's see here. I've got a video here, safety first. I forgot to show you one of the important things I did to improve safety on this. This thing, unlike most saws like this saw has a button that if you push that button, the saw will stay on. Like you pull the trigger, push that button, the saw stays on. The problem is it's right in line with how you hold the saw, so accidentally you'll push it and the saw will stay on. I took a screwdriver and a hammer and broke that button off. Popped it out of there. It won't stay on anymore, which is, a minor safety improvement, but it's an improvement because if that thing were kicking back and it was locked on, that would really be ugly. Yeah, that thing is, it's a death trap for sure. It's a widowmaker if there ever was one when it comes to a saw. Fortunately, I shouldn't even say this out loud, but I think I'm done with it. I think. That's probably not. Yeah, I might be done with it. I think I might be done with it. So I don't think I'll have to use it anymore. Then, I showed you yesterday I got the trusses going. Well, this morning I went down there and started working on combining the trusses. Like I was telling you, I'm going to combine. I'm just using basically 4 trusses, and they'll span the 8 feet, no problem. And then I have the overhang to contend with on each end in addition. So here's a video kind of about that, showing you what I'm actually trying to do. Well, my friends, I haven't done very much this morning in terms of actual production, but it's taken me almost all morning just to get these 2 trusses, or whatever you want to call these things, timber frame trusses. Took me all morning pretty much to get them lined up, squared up, leveled, straightened out, that type of thing. Just tried to get them in line so that, I'm going to put 2x6s across in a couple of places, probably about 4 places, and that'll make them one solid truss. So, and I'll do that on the other side, of course, too. And then those 2x6s will extend out to about 16 inches out here, and then we'll hang those off of the 2x6s. And when I say hang them, I mean I'm going to have to joint all of these. I'm going to have to cut in, 1.5 inches through here,
lay the 2x6 in here flush, kind of like this is flush here. And anyway, so there'll be 2x6s going across here, sticking out this far. Then I'll do the same thing to these. I'll cut the notches in them and put them in there, and then screw it together. And so basically this outside edge is suspended off of these 2x6s. My brother said I could even use 2x4s, but I figured 2x6s is just that much stronger. You know, he's a carpenter, he would know, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. I always do overkill if I can. I guess that's about it. It's going to be quite the job building that. And see, that way I can get this all in one unit. I can pick it up with the Bobcat up here, take it out and take it over to the Waterwheel house, and with a long extended pole, just set it up on top of there, and it's all one unit ready to go. Just nail it in place, and then it's, you know, fairly quick to get started on the sheeting or whatever you want to call it. I'm probably going to use 1-bys again, which is going to take a while. You know, then I'll cover that with sheeting, and then I'll cover that with a waterproof membrane, and then the shingles and tar paper stepping up through there. Anyway, that's the way I'm going to do it, and it's going to be a lot of work. It's not a simple thing to do. Well, my friends, in case you're having trouble visualizing what I was talking about, see, there's the 2x6 and how I inlaid it inside here, and it'll be nailed over there, so it'll be really strong. Nailed over there, nailed here, and then there'll be another notch cut in one of those right there, and this, you know, those will hang off of these. I'll have about 4 of these down through here. And, you know, that's going to be plenty strong because they hang bigger boards than this with just 2x4s. So these, I'm using well, actually mine are 2x5s to kind of match the size of the beams, because the beams are 5s. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. A lot of work to do that, and it'll probably take me the rest of the day to get this one done, if I can get it done today.
And I thought about going back down there after this vlog and trying to get the rest of those 2x6s on there, but I don't know if I've got the energy. Plus, I need to save my energy for tonight because we'll be playing at Dickey's. And yeah, if I go down there and wear myself out, I won't be able to play at Dickey's, I don't think. So, I don't know. The bad thing is that I'm so far behind on everything. I just need to get stuff done. Yeah, you just wouldn't even believe how far behind I am on everything. It's unbelievable. But anyway, let's take a look at the comments. Looks like Rod Wentler was the first one this morning, or today. And Dottie Hildebrandt, she's praying for us. Thank you, Dottie. Moving on down. Looking for the question marks. Dottie says, Lou, if you want to ask Jerry, put 3 question marks so he can see it. He'll answer your question. So let's go back and see if he had a question there. Lou says, just a question. How long has Rosa String Works been in southern Missouri location? Does it go back to 1970-71? Well, I've lived my whole life pretty much in Missouri. I started Rosa String Works when I lived on Highway 100 out west of Baldwin, Ellisville, Missouri. We lived in a little community called Pond, P-O-N-D, and it was exactly 5 miles west of Highway 109 on 100, if you know where that is. Anyway, after, you know, it was kind of ironic because I got in very good with the City Hall and all those places there, and they had us play their festivals every year and their community events and all that stuff. And so then they more or less turned on me and told me that I couldn't run a business out of my property. I mean, I had 4 acres there in Pond. You know, you couldn't throw a rock and hit a neighbor's house. I mean, it was pretty far across to the next neighbors. And yet I couldn't run my little instrument business out of there. They had all kinds of rules and laws and zoning and all this crap. So I picked up everything and moved it down here to Rolla, Missouri. And I thought it was pretty funny because before I bought this farm where I'm at now, and I did that in 98. So we've been down here since August of 98. That's to answer your question. But anyway, before we bought this place, I was looking at another place, similar location, and so I went to the city hall and I said, "What kind of permits am I going to need to add on to this building and change things around?" And the gal looks up at me. She goes, "Well, is it your property?" And I said, "Well, not yet. I'm about ready to buy it." She goes, "Well, if it's your property, do whatever you want." I said, "I like this." I got all kinds of stories about how me and the inspectors went round and round on that property in Pond. It was, even though it was Pond, there was the inspectors came from St. Louis County, and I forget the guy's name now, but he was notorious for being a real hole. And anyway, I did everything I could to just really get under his skin, you know. I did. I really did. You know, I knew how to do everything. I mean, I know how to do my own electric. I know how to do plumbing. I know how to do carpentry. I know how to do it all. So, you know, I was adding on to my house, and he goes, "Well, no, you got to hire an electrician. You can't do that electric yourself on these bedrooms and bathrooms. There's no way. You can't do it." I said, "No, I know it's possible to do it, and I'm going to do it. So you might as well tell me how." "Well, you have to go to Clayton and pass the test." And the Clayton was where the courthouse is for the county or whatever. And I said, "Well, no problem." So I went down to Clayton. I took the electrical test. I aced it. I got 100 on it. And I took the plumbing test, and I got a 97 or something on it. And that just made him that much madder. So I did my own plumbing, my own electric. Well, then I cut a truss off, and you know, you're not supposed to cut trusses off. You know, I didn't build my own trusses on this. Well, I knew that wouldn't go over with the guy for one thing, but I ordered trusses, and then there was one truss that ran into where the fireplace was. Well, I had to cut it off. Well, I reinforced it. I'm no dummy. I reinforced it really well. In fact, I overkilled the reinforcement. So it was better than it came from the factory, just because I modified it. I'm seriously telling you it was. So anyway, he looks at that truss, and I told him what I did, and he goes, "Well, you can't cut off a truss. Those are factory engineered. You can't do that. You're no engineer. You can't do that." And I said, "Look, mister, you know and I know that way I've got that there reinforced with all that plywood, there's no way on earth that thing will ever break. You could drive a tank over it. That's the strongest part of that whole roof. It doesn't matter. You can't do it. You're not allowed to do it." So I said, "Well, all right. Well, then what do I have to do to make it right?" He says, "You got to get a hold of the truss company and have an engineered drawing sent out. And you have to abide by their drawing." I said, "Okay." So I called the truss company. They were really nice people, by the way. I had dealt with them a time or two before. So when I called them, I told them what had happened. And they said, "Well, how did you?" And I said, "I know I've reinforced this more than you guys would even reinforce it." And so he said, "Well, how did you do it?" And I told him how I did. And he goes, "Well, he said, that's way better than we would tell you to do it anyway." And he says, "I'll just draw up the plans exactly like that." I gave him all my measurements and everything, and he drew up the plans exactly like I did it. Which really did not set well with that inspector. Well, then I got so tired of dealing with that guy, so then I decided to add on a 3-car garage. Well, from the road, my house was up a hill, and from the road, you're down lower. You couldn't see the ground you couldn't see it clearly where I was building the garage. So what I did was I poured the whole slab. I think it was 36 by 26 or something like that. Pretty big slab. It was a big 3-car garage. Well, anyway, So then, and I never got the inspector. I didn't even call the inspector or anything. And so I just did that. And then, my father-in-law, who is also a master carpenter, I mean, he's a really good carpenter, he came over, helped me, and he and I built, and I think my brothers got involved too. We built all the walls and the roof and everything and left it down on the ground. With the trusses, everything. We built everything and left it laying on the ground so you couldn't see it. Then the following, I don't know, after we got that all done, then in one weekend, we stood the whole thing up, had it roofed, enclosed, garage doors on, everything completely sealed up. Well, a week or so later, here comes the inspector. He was mad as a hornet. And I just, I said, well, too bad, too bad, so sad. It's already up. It's locked up. You can't get in. It's done. And he says, well, we will put a lien, or I don't know what the right word was. It's like a lien. We're going to put this thing on your property and you won't be able to sell it. I said, well, that's fine. I don't plan to sell it anyway. Well, then, of course, like I told you, the city thing fell apart and they wouldn't let me run my business. So I did decide to sell it. Well, it was kind of weird. It was a while before I decided to sell it. I got a phone call one day. Now, this was several years after I built the garage, but I got a phone call one day, and it was a gal from I think from St. Louis County, and where the inspector was from. And she said, you had a job there to do X, Y, Z, and to build this stuff here, and has that job been completed? I said, yeah, it's totally done. She goes, well, then can I close this permit out? And I said, you sure can. Never had any more trouble. I sold the place, and that inspector was a butthead, man. I mean, he was a real jerk. But I wasn't the only one who had trouble with him. Everybody, including my brothers who were carpenters, he had to inspect everything in that whole area, or he was one of the main inspectors in the whole area, and he was a butthead. But anyway, I dealt with him, and I won. He lost. Moving on. So that was a real long answer there to your when we moved down here. But anyway, we moved down here in August of '98. I started the business in '83, right? Yeah, I think that's when I started the business, was in '83. So... and I started that there in Pond. Moving on down, let's see. Moving on down, looking. Lou says he was at Fort Leonard Wood in the 70 and 71, had a guitar and got kicked over in the night and never got it fixed. Just wondering if RSW existed in that time frame. No, I didn't. I was actually still in high school in 70, 71. I started working for Southwestern Bell in 73, August 13th, 1973. So that anniversary just passed a little short time ago. 51 years I would have been there had I stayed, of course. Let's see. Daddy's saying, David, are you okay? There's no jokes today. James Copy, working on Annie Laurie singing in tin whistle. Have not tried mandolin. My friend plays it on guitar. David Tharp, remember November 1st is National Eat Your Kids Halloween Candy After They Go to Sleep Day. Yeah. Well, you know me, all I eat is sugar, salt, and preservatives, so you can pretty much bet I was involved. Let's see. After we went live, Brian Byler says, Happy Tuesday. Then David Tharp says, I can't believe it's been a whole year since I didn't become a better person. I'm right there with you on that one. Let's see. Brian praying that I feel better. Well, thank you, Brian. I do not feel real good. It goes straight into my lungs every time I get these allergy things, and I start coughing up this green phlegm junk. It's a pain. I hate it. That's why I would really I think it would be the end if I got COVID on top of this. Because to me, this is worse than COVID was for me personally. Now, I know that's not true for everybody because COVID's really bad. But for me, COVID wasn't even as bad as my normal allergy cold or whatever you want to call this. Let's see. Bill Mumbo. Hello, lovely people. Jerry's been there about 20 years, fixing instruments for 40. I've been just subscribed for about 10 years. Yeah. Well, we bought this place August of 98, so we've been here, 26 years, I guess? Something like that. David Tharp. Jerry, you sound awful. I once had a bad cough. My wife said, you have a terrible cough. You need to see your doctor. I said, why? He can't cough any better than I can. Let's see. Ron Fleece or Flex. Hey, Jerry, take 2 aspirin. Go to bed. We'll be fine. Yeah. Well, this ain't going to go away no matter what I do. Dottie Hildebrand, hope you feel better, Jerry. You need to tear that saw down. It's an accident waiting to happen. Well, I'll save it for the rare emergency where I need a saw like that, but I don't think I'll need it anymore on this project. Thank goodness. Wavy Gravy. I think the people who designed that saw also came up with the electric shower cap. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this saw, the full intention of this saw, even though it's a regular handheld skill saw, is to be mounted on a table to be a table saw. And that's why you have that lock button so you can lock it on. But, yeah. What a mess. Blemerton says, I'm a journeyman carpenter for 20 years, and I'm in Rolla frequently if you need help. He had a handyman business since 2012. Just a thought. Well, thank you for the offer. I appreciate it. Dottie Hildebrand, Jerry, will the Bobcat lift all those rafters at once? Kind of heavy. Yeah, the Bobcat's very strong. Now, let me back up the truck and say, it's very strong from, within the bucket and lifting. It'll lift a couple of 1,000 pounds that way, no problem. In fact, it'll do more than that. But I'm building, this is a truss. There's a metal truss that I'm going to attach to the front of my bucket that sticks out there like 11 or 12 feet. Well, out there at that distance, keep hitting the mic, out there at that distance, that's a different story. It won't pick up near that much. But these trusses, the 3 things combined that I'm combining will weigh maximum of 500 pounds is what I'm guessing. So it'll pick that up. I don't think it'll be a problem. And if it's, basically all I got to do is get it high enough to get it over that wall. And then if worse comes to worse, we can slide it into place. I think I can lift it and set it right out there exactly in place, and we can maneuver it around and set it right down exactly. I don't think it'll be a problem, but I've been wrong before once or twice in my life. Preston Johnson, UPS, me that saw and I baptize it over in Old Man. I live on banks of mighty Mississippi River. That's where that saw belongs. You remain one piece. Yeah, well, thank you. That saw is a dangerous saw. There's no question. That's like I said, I definitely would not recommend anybody buy that saw. But, my option was, I don't use a big saw like that. I don't need a big saw like that. So my option was to pay $400 for a big one that's would have been safe probably, or to spend $100 to get that thing, get the job done. So I chose that option. Now, when I chose that option, I'll be honest, I did not know, or I didn't look at it close enough to know it didn't come with a blade guard. I just assumed it came with a blade guard. All of those saws come with blade guards. Well, when I got it, it didn't have one. So there you go. And as I told you, I don't return stuff. So there you go. If you get hurt with something like that, $400 for a good saw is cheap. So I get that. You don't have to. I'm no dummy. I get it. But I was just super careful with it and just did what I had to do. And like I said, I won't be using it anymore. Ronald Todd, Jerry, be careful working with cedar. Some people are allergic and have reactions to it. Ask me how I know. Yeah, well, that could be what this is. It could be. I'm allergic to everything. And in fact, cedar is one of the main things I'm pretty sure I'm allergic to, because when I was hunting all the time and I was sitting in a cedar tree, that seemed to be when I would get my biggest allergy. Well, doing all this cedar work, it's very likely that's where the problem is coming from. David Tharp, I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken. Yep. Yeah, that's me too. Simon Jardine, as someone who's barely had a day off work in his adult life, COVID put me in bed for 4 days. Nice. Be careful, Jerry. Yeah. I would hate to get COVID on top of this. That, I'm pretty sure, would be the last you would see of me, because this is way worse than COVID. It really is for me personally. I realize that other people, COVID is terrible. I get that. But for me, COVID was almost nothing. I didn't even hardly feel bad. I worked every day while I had COVID. I mean, I did, I didn't feel great, but I don't feel as bad as I do with this. So anyway, just the way it is. Like I said, allergies are big for me, and my daughter Lisa is way worse than I am. She's so allergic to everything. She has to take shots every week. She's really bad. I'm sure it came from me, because Sue's not hardly allergic to anything, I don't think. But anyway, I guess that's going to be it, guys. I'm going to toy with the idea of going back down there and trying to do a little bit more work, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to take a rest and go play at Dickey's this evening and hopefully be able to even do that. Dottie says, COVID was bad for me. I couldn't taste anything for months. I did lose my sense of taste for a short time, but only a short time. And I did lose my sense of smell was way worse. Let me back that up. I never did lose the sense of taste completely. As you know, my taste buds are super, super sensitive. And I could still taste stuff with COVID, but it was muted. But I couldn't smell anything. I had, that's how I realized I had lost my sense of smell and didn't realize it, because what happened one day, I was putting gas in something, and you know how you can always smell gas. I didn't smell it. So I put it up. I wanted to make sure I was putting gas in there and wasn't something else. So I bring it up to the can. I'm sniffing right out of the can. Can't smell it at all. It's just like it's water. And I'm going, what is this stuff? I didn't know I had lost my sense of smell. So I poured a little bit out of my hand. I thought, well, that's gas. How come I can't smell it? And then I realized it was the COVID thing. Now, my daughter, Lisa, when she had COVID, she lost her sense of taste and smell both, and she claims it's not come back. And that was years ago, several years ago. So she still can't smell and taste stuff. Wavy says, when was the last time you took a day off? What is that? I don't take days off. Rod Wentler, Jerry, how about wearing a mask when sawing the cedar? Yeah, I have been wearing a mask after I noticed I was starting to come down with something. But, I have been wearing it for the last 3 or 4 days. Each time I saw it, I put on a mask. Dottie Hillebrand, I could smell either for the same. Put me in the hospital. Wow. Yeah, she says she doesn't have hers back either. Yeah, well, my daughter Lisa claims she still can't smell and taste really anything. I'm thinking, boy, that's got to be ugly, you know. I wouldn't mind losing my sense of taste a little bit. I'll be honest with you, that might not hurt my feelings too much. but I never did completely lose my sense of taste. I could still taste stuff. But the sense of smell, it went away, completely away. But it's back now, I think. So anyway, that's going to be it, guys. Thanks for being here. If I'm still alive, we'll have something else tomorrow.